Dustin the Diamond Porier is back in the main event of UFC 302 in a matchup what seems like a last shot at undisputed gold for the legendary fighter. He takes on the best pound for pound fighter in the world and reigning lightweight champion Islam Makhachev. Many people aren't giving Porier a chance, but in that octagon anything can happen, and Porier has shown at times in his legendary career he is willing to go to war to get that victory. With a storied career with countless legendary ups and downs, he has given us countless legendary fights, moments and performances. Let's take a look at some of the best moments which made Dustin Porier the Diamond. This is the Fight franchise and the top 10 moments of Dustin Porier's career. Number 10. Dustin's first fight of the night. Dustin Porier had many great fights, wins and moments which could make this list, but we are actually starting this list with a loss. But it is still a legendary moment in his career which personifies Dustin Porier as a fighter. Dustin Porier would join the UFC and go on a 5-fight win streak with some great finishes along the way to establish himself as an up-and-coming contender in the featherweight division. This saw him earn his first spot in a 5-round main event against the Korean Zombie. The two men went to war across a 4-round fight on the feet and on the ground, trading the upper hand on multiple occasions. Dustin Porier would eat a huge shot and a knee and go for a takedown, where he would be submitted on the ground and lose his first fight in the UFC. Though a loss, this main event and the fight of the night has set the tone for countless legendary wars, performances and main events Dustin Porier has put on for the fans. Had this fight not been a war like it was, maybe we don't get the Dustin Porier we know and love today. For earning his first of 9 fight of the night and putting him on the main stage for the first time earns it a well-deserved spot on the list. Number 9. Dustin Porier submits Max Holloway. Dustin Porier would begin his career in the featherweight division and have mixed success there, where he faced 2 champions of the division. He would face Conor McGregor, who he lost against at featherweight, and also Max Holloway, who later in his career he faced at lightweight. When Porier faced Max Holloway the first time, it was a young Max Holloway in his debut fight in the UFC, who was also at the time the youngest fighter on the roster. Both guys were trading on the feet until Porier took the fight to the ground, where Porier was too experienced and strong for the young Max Holloway. Dustin secured the mounted triangle armbar to get the amazing win in the first round, and many fans will think, why does this make the list? Max was only young and it was his debut. Well, to see what Max has gone to do in the UFC and in this division since is a reason, but this win for Porier makes him the only person at the time of making this list to finish Max Holloway in the octagon, which is an incredible achievement when you look at the list of fighters Max Holloway has fought, which definitely helps it earn a spot on this list. Number 8. Dustin Porier submits Michael Chandler. After his loss versus Charles Oliveira for undisputed gold, Dustin will return and have his first opportunity of his career to compete in the illustrious Madison Square Garden, taking on one of the most exciting lightweights in recent years, Michael Chandler, who is coming off his KO of the year contender over Tony Ferguson. They would go to war across round 1, where both guys had moments of success, with Chandler swarming Porier throwing big shots, but Porier ended the round on top, stumbling Chandler and almost finishing him at the end of the first round. The second round, Chandler took the fight to the ground, where Porier was trying to land elbows on bottom, but after a failed triangle, Chandler got the back of Porier but failed to find the choke, and spent the rest of the round dominating, with the momentum swinging in the favour of Chandler. The third round, after a failed takedown for Michael Chandler, Dustin managed to stay on top, where he would take the back of Chandler and submitted him in the third round. Another fight of the night for Porier, a win at MSG, another name on his illustrious career he has faced and beaten, a legendary win for the Diamond which deserves its spot on the list. Number 7. Dustin Porier shows up for Louisiana. Dustin Porier is a big representative for his home state of Louisiana, and any chance he gets he will big up his hometown, and even is a big contributor to some local charities. Porier's career started in Louisiana fighting in the regional scene, and once he went pro it was fighting on the main stage across America and even England and Abu Dhabi later in his career. However, in June of 2015 the UFC would be fighting in front of his home state of Louisiana, and Dustin Porier took up the chance and was taking on Yancy Medeiros. In an epic 1-round performance, Dustin Porier would drop Medeiros twice in the first round and gain control, securing a takedown looking for the submission. The fight would go back to the feet, where a body kick which hurt Medeiros and Dustin would tee off on him until he secured the TKO to send the fans wild. An excellent win in front of his friends and family and his home state. This was an excellent moment in his legendary career, and one which is forgotten due to his monumental success in his career, but definitely one, if you ask Dustin Porier, would probably rank higher. Number 6. Dustin Porier KOs Benoit Saint Denis. Dustin Porier after UFC 291 was in limbo after being head kicked by Justin Gaethje. He was out the title picture with all the other fighters booked up and with the other contenders around his level having wins against him recently. Porier would sign up to fight scary up-and-comer Benoit Saint Denis in a 5-round fight at UFC 299. This was Porier giving a young hungry lion a chance at breaking through and facing a mainstay atop of the 155-pound division. Coming off a brutal head kick loss and Saint Denis on a 5-fight win streak with 5 straight finishes, many people thought this was the end for Porier at the top of the division. They had a 2-round war where Saint Denis was all pressure and Porier was failing to secure guillotines. This led to a fight where it seemed Saint Denis would dominate Porier. However, in the second round, Dustin Porier would rock Saint Denis with a big shot, stumbling him to a knee, and with Saint Denis hurt, he threw a huge right hand which flatlined Saint Denis, and he followed up with another shot for good measure. Porier proved he is game to fight with anyone and everyone in the division, even the future of the lightweight division. A spectacular KO and fight of the night for Porier, which well deserves its spot on the list. Number 5. Dustin Porier ends Eddie Alvarez. Dustin Porier over his career has beat a who's who in the lightweight division and has beaten some of the best fighters in the world at 155 pounds and has managed to put on countless wars and epic performances while doing it. Along his career, he has faced both the inaugural and second ever Bellator champs at 155 pounds in Eddie Alvarez and Michael Chandler. And though his war against Chandler was epic and a great win, the one versus Eddie Alvarez was just better. The two faced off in a bout at UFC 211, which ended via a legal knee by Eddie Alvarez. They would rematch over a year later, where Porier, fresh off his legendary performance against Gaethje, would piece up Eddie Alvarez on the feet, breaking him down in the octagon and securing the second round TKO. This was an unreal performance where Porier was in the form of his life, putting together an epic win streak. What makes this performance even better is how Porier can be seen as the guy to put the nail in the coffin of Alvarez's career, who has never been the same since his loss to Porier. Number 4. A war in the apex. When you look at the career of Dustin Porier, it is showcased with epic fights and performances, highlighted by the fact he is a bonus machine, where he has 9 fight of the night bonuses, which is tied in first with Edson Barboza. After his crushing loss to Khabib, which visibly crushed Porier's spirit, he returned in a crowdless apex against a surgeon, Dan Hooker, who was on a 3-fight win streak but in on some great performances. Both men entered the octagon and put on a war for the ages, which was amplified with no crowd, where we could hear each and every strike landing. Though he was coming off a loss and the momentum was in Dan Hooker's favour, Porier managed to break down Hooker and put on an epic performance, which some people saw as their fight of the year for 2020, where Porier won the unanimous decision. Porier showed he was one of the elites of the lightweight division and ready to put a young hungry lion in his place, and just like Eddie Alvarez, who went on a skid after his loss to Porier, Hooker was no different, which just shows how much going to war with Porier can take out of you. I think nothing shows this better than both fighters post-fight, as Porier is being interviewed after his epic war and Hooker leaves the arena in a gurney, like he had just been in a car accident. Number 3. Dustin Porier becomes interim champ. Dustin Porier, when he was hunting for the undisputed lightweight title, had to wait before he could get his shot at then champion Khabib, as he had been suspended, so he had to wait for his title shot and take one more matchup to earn the undisputed title shot. He would be facing at the time the undisputed featherweight champion Max Holloway, who was coming up a division, who was looking to find a route to become champ. The two squared off at UFC 236 for the interim lightweight championship. The interesting thing about this fight was that the two had faced over 6 years prior, where Dustin Porier would win via submission. But the crazy thing is, following their fight at featherweight, their careers would be so different, where Max ended up becoming champion at 145 pounds and Porier would end up moving to lightweight, where he was struggling with the weight cut. With both guys so much more improved, they put on a war for the ages, where Porier would piece up Holloway due to the power advantage, but it was still a competitive and fun fight, which won the fight of the night alongside the epic matchup of Kelvin Gastelum and Israel Adesanya. Porier did the better work across the fight and would win the fight on the judges' scorecards, where he won the belt. And no, it wasn't the undisputed, but it was still symbolic of the journey he had been on up to that point of his career, and he did beat a current champion at the time to win the interim title. So for that reason and the epic fight they put on, definitely deserves it a spot on the list. Number 2. Dustin Porier KOs Conor McGregor. Dustin Porier's career is definitely that of a fighter with many highs and lows throughout. One of the lows Dustin Porier would famously suffer was against Conor McGregor, where the two would face off and had a matchup at featherweight, where the cocky, arrogant Irishman put Porier in his place, KOing him in the first round, where he would become a global superstar and a champ of the sport. All the while, Porier would have to build his star back up, going on an epic win streak fighting the who's who of the 155 pound division, until he earned his rightful title shot and would lose to Khabib. This would be followed with his epic win against Dan Hooker, and Poirier would be matched up with a ghost from his past in Conor McGregor. However, this time both guys were completely different men from when they last fought. Conor was a multimillionaire who had the world at his feet, while Poirier had tasted fame and success. It was nowhere near the level of what Conor had achieved, and the outcome of the first fight still loomed large in his mind. Both men squared off at UFC 257, where Poirier had the chance to right the wrong of years prior and had the chance to make himself a household name if he could win. Poirier didn't just win, he did at the time the unthinkable. He would KO McGregor, embarrassing him and getting revenge for all those years prior. This was unbelievable. Seeing McGregor on the floor after being knocked out was global news, and Poirier caused it. Poirier would off the back of this fight help change his family's life monetarily with the help of the trilogy fight. But to give us an epic moment where he KO'd the biggest star in the sport, it is definitely one of the best moments in Dustin Porier's amazing career. Number 1. Dustin Porier and Justin Gaethje go to war. Dustin Porier throughout his career has adopted a motto called paid in full, and if there is one of his fights indicative of this motto, it would be his epic first fight with Justin Gaethje in 2018. Justin Gaethje would join the UFC from the World Series of Fighting, where he was known for having one of the most exciting fighting styles in the world. He would join the UFC and go to war with Michael Johnson, and then lose in a war to Eddie Alvarez. Following the loss to Eddie, he would be paired up against Dustin Porier. The fight was one of the most epic fights of 2018, where they went to war and battered each other across the octagon, where Porier would simply never give up and quit, and went toe to toe with one of the most violent fighters at 155 pounds. The fight is a representation of Dustin Porier as a human, a tough as nails SOB who is willing to go to war with anyone to get the outcome he wants, no matter if he wins or loses in the end. He puts it all on the line when he fights, shown in this epic performance. Porier would win the fight via 4th round TKO in an epic win in his career. Porier has had many epic fights whether win or lose, but his epic war with Justin Gaethje in 2018 is Porier at his best, just a soldier ready and willing to die to get the win and get paid in full. Did you enjoy the video? Let us know down in the comments below. What do you think is the best moment of Dustin Porier's career? Put that down in the comments below. And what do you think is going to happen between him versus Islam Makhachev at UFC 302? Put that down in the comments below. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe for more MMA and fight content coming soon. We hope you enjoyed the video and we'll catch you in the next one.